No, it's a good question. No, there's other documentation of it. There's another author named Irving Roth who writes about it. So we know, and Aristophanes, right?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a night with Holocaust survivor Irving Roth. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. To start off with, I'd like to begin with a prayer. God, our Father, you have created each of us in your image. Today you have drawn us to this place, away from our regular routine and activities. Send your living spirit upon us and our gathering. Help us to use this present moment to recall our collective past and to envision a future where all people can live without fear of rejection and violence. Help us not to worship only with our lips, but in word and deed all the days of our lives. May this day of observance also be a day of commitment. May your grace bring us forgiveness and our failures, bring them to love, and heal us of our past hurts. We come here today, O God, from different faiths, traditions, different faith communities. We know that there is but one God, and that you are Father of all. May we always be willing and able to discuss our differences with open minds and true respect for each other. May our churches and synagogues be safe places of worship. May light shine from within our spaces of worship into the darkness of our world. May those called to preach God's word be men and women of sincere faith in God. May they teach with courage, and may their words match their deeds. Rooted in you, O God, may these leaders never be a source of division. May our religious leaders see you as the great teacher, the true rabbi. We pray this in your holy name. Amen. It is my honor to introduce you all to David Walker. David Walker is the East Coast Director for Christians United for Israel. With no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, David Walker.
Good afternoon to everyone. As you stated, my name is David Walker. I'm the East Coast Director for Christians United for Israel of our campus program. Just by a show of hands, how many people have heard of KUFI? Okay, we've got a few, one or two or three. Well, let me just give you a little bit of information about KUFI and our organization and the great work that we're doing across the nation. First off, KUFI was founded in 2006 in San Antonio, Texas, and it's founded with the idea to be an outlet for Christians of all denominations to come together and to stand in solidarity with support for Israel. And so each month, our organization holds over 40 events in American cities across the nation where the Jewish community and the Christian community are coming together to stand in solidarity in support of Israel. Just this past year, KUFI has surpassed 1.5 million members. And so we've grown with extraordinary pace, and we know it's because this is God's work. We believe that our organization was founded for such a time as this, and the growth really exemplifies that. And so that was in 2006 when KUFI National was started. The executive board realized soon enough that if we're really going to impact this nation with the pro-Israel message, then we must take the pro-Israel message to the college campuses. And so that was in 2008 when KUFI on Campus was started. And KUFI on Campus was started with the notion, Abraham Lincoln said something that was very profound. He said that the philosophy of the classroom today will be the philosophy of the government tomorrow. And so understanding that if we do not equip the millennials with the pro-Israel message, then continued support for Israel would be in jeopardy for years to come. When I travel the country and I talk to folks and I ask them, what is the largest generation in America right now? Many people say the baby boomers, but that is not correct. The largest generation in America as it stands today are the millennials. And that are those folks that are born between 1980 and about 2003. And so we make up of about 85 million people in the United States. It's about every 1 in 3 people are part of the millennial generation. And so it's so important that if we don't equip them with the pro-Israel message, then it'd be hard to find continued support for Israel for years to come. So that is the work that I do along with my colleagues. I work across 23 states along the Eastern Seaboard, and it's all with the motivation for equipping young Christian leaders with the necessary tools and resources to support Israel. And so I want to take a pause at this moment and thank our student here at McNeese State University, Adam Harris. Adam, please stand. Let's give Adam a round of applause. He is solely responsible for this event, and really I am impressed with the work that he's doing here on this campus, and we know that he's just getting started and the best is yet to come. Now, the job that our student activists do, it is no easy task. A lot of times, they're faced with enormous amounts of opposition and pressure, but that does not stop them. Our students are resilient and our students fight strong because they understand not only the biblical mandate to support Israel, but they also understand politically why it's so important to stand with Israel, as Israel is our only standing ally in the Middle East. In the past 3 years, Kufi on campus has been able to establish over 100 chapters across the United States where we're doing events like this and others on college campuses. Whether we're having speakers come on campus, whether we're tabling and passing on information about how students can come to know how to support Israel, whether we're partnering with Jewish organizations. A lot of people hear sound bites about supporting Israel. They hear stuff on the news. They hear things in the newspaper. But really, Israel is a narrative, and that narrative must be clearly articulated and explained. And that's what we do through Kufi on campus. We have tons of resources for students to be involved. We have our DC Summit that we have in July, where it's an opportunity for students to come to DC. We pay for their scholarships. We scholarship them, pay for their airfare, pay for their hotel expense, pay for their registrations, all in the event of educating them and making sure they are aware. Our speaker, and I want to start with the Honorable Mayor Randy Roach of Lake Charles. So please welcome.
Thank you very much, and welcome. Thank you for coming out tonight, and I know that you are here not to listen to me. You are here for our guest speaker, but a few things I would like to do on your behalf, actually, to honor Mr. Roth tonight. And first of all, Mr. Roth, I told us that we're trying to analyze this in three basic ways, three things I want to share with you tonight. First of all is welcome. Welcome to Lake Charles. Welcome to Southwest Louisiana. I understand it's not your first time to Louisiana, but it's your first time to this side of the state, and we're very honored that you could be with us tonight. Take the time, because I know it takes a lot of energy and effort to get here. We appreciate that very much. I think you came into New Orleans and actually drove over here this afternoon, and we appreciate you doing that, and to take this time and spend this time with us, and then get to go back to New Orleans tomorrow. So anyway, it's going to be a short visit, but I hope it's one that you will enjoy, and I hope that there's something that is shared with you here tonight that you can carry back with you and be a part of. Secondly, I would like to congratulate you. I was doing a little research, and this is probably in your bio, so I apologize we haven't been able to introduce you tonight. But I wanted to make sure that I got this right. And this, as I understand, in 2004, you received the Anne Frank Outstanding Citizen Award, and it is an award that is given to persons such as yourself who have distinguished themselves as community leaders, bridge builders, and role models who embody tolerance, promote unity, and promote peace. And Mr. Roth, given the challenges that you have faced in your life, one can only imagine how you could have done all these other things, but you have chosen to have your life stand for those basic principles, those fundamental principles of what it means to be human. And the third thing I want to do is thank you for that. Thank you for that. I don't know. I was somewhere the other day, I was listening to the radio or surfing the TV or something. I don't remember where I heard this. But it said that in today's world, and we spoke about the millennials, that this generation of young Americans are in need of heroes. And they were talking about heroes as being ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges in extraordinary ways. And with that in mind, Mr. Roth, coming from my generation, and I'm sure younger generations, we look to you as a hero, not in the, I guess the way that perhaps some people think of that term as being something, romanticized in movies or books or whatever. was something very real. Something very real. For what you endured and what so many endured, 6 million people endured, was something beyond anything that I think we can even imagine today. We hear the stories, we see the reports, we see it's unbelievable in a sense that it could even have happened. And yet it did. And people such as yourself who survived came through it and have shared and have encouraged and have given hope and given so much to so many. And so from us, the protectors, so to speak, did not experience that to those of your generation who are doing that. We truly are thankful because you represent something to us, an ideal that we would only hope that we could one day be worthy of ourselves. So thank you very much for being who you are. And as a token of our respect, admiration, and appreciation of you individually and for in honor of your visit here to the city of Lake Charles in Florida, make you an honorary citizen of the city of Lake Charles. And then Louisiana, you can vote and vote often. So. And then also to present to you a key to the city of Lake Charles. Sometimes I'm asked, does that key unlock the door to City Hall? Does it unlock the vault? The answer is no. But what it does unlock is the heart of a great community, and a community that values and appreciates a person such as yourself and has a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for what you represent. And we again thank you for being with us this evening.
In somewhat of a short response, 70 years ago, a city in Hungary, city where I was born, took away my home, placed me into a ghetto, put me into a cattle car, to Auschwitz, the death camp, the largest one. But my friends, was it not for your fathers and grandfathers, their heroism and their sacrifice as they approached Omaha Beach, as they approached other fronts of Europe, I wouldn't be. They actually put their life out there and said, we will fight for you. So you, Irving Roth, can live, but not only live as a Jew, not only live as a Jew, but live in freedom. 50 years ago, a major event took place in my life. I was in uniform at Fort Knox, Kentucky. But one morning, I took a bus to Louisville. I stood in front of the circuit court judge of the United States. I became a citizen of the United States. It was a very proud and somewhat humbling moment to be part of this great country. Not just of the land, but of the people who have given so much to the whole world, who is in there day in and day out, making sure that the world continues to exist and be a model of society. But let me tell you, standing here today and be embraced by this glorious city, by being given the key to the city, is a bit more emotional. Because here I'm standing 5,000 miles away from the city that I was born in, the city that rejected me. To stand here 5,000 miles away, in a country that I've become part of, and to be given the key. Tremendous honor. And to tell you the truth, I don't really have sufficient words in English to be able to tell you what a great moment this is for me. So, Mayor, I want to thank you so very, very much for making me an honorary citizen of this wonderful place. And I will try to vote early and often. And tonight, you have given me the privilege of sharing my life with you. My joys and my pains, my past, my present, and I hope my future. As a token of my appreciation, what I would like to do there is to give you this book, and I'll sign it later, put it into the library, have citizens of this town have the opportunity to read in great detail about my life. So please accept it, and I appreciate it.
I'd like to ask a young man who has who's really no stranger to this audience, Mr. Devontae Lewis, who is president of the Student Government Association here, if he would come forward. I think he has a presentation to make on behalf of Dr. Williams.
Mr. Roth, on behalf of our entire university, we want to welcome you first and foremost to Southwest Louisiana, and most importantly, McNeese State University. Our institution prides itself on excellence with a personal touch by giving students an opportunity to truly understand and learn from an education. And we are so honored to have you here today to give them more in depth of a situation and a lesson that we have learned so often in our classes. So on behalf of the university and myself, I'd like to present you with a token lapel so you can keep McNeese State University with you as you travel across this country. And remember our great institution, and we are so thankful and honored to have you here today and accept this token of our gift. Thank you.
Before I speak with you, I would like to show you a short video. It's 8 minutes. I had the privilege of going to Poland, back to the places of evil, ultimate evil, 3 years ago with a group of college students, members of Kufi actually, and take them on a tour. With us were a couple of videographers, and you know what happens is you speak, they kind of just keep shooting away. When they came back, they put together a short DVD. So to give you a feeling of what that place looked like and some of the issues, we'll show you an 8-minute DVD, after which I'll speak to you. The Jewish child in a country called Czechoslovakia, life was beautiful. My parents, grandparents, life was a beautiful time. But 1929 was not exactly the best time for the Jewish people in the world. Two events took place. One is about 10 days before I was born. On August 24th, 1929, 69 young Jewish men were walking home from school in the city of Hebron. It was then Palestine. They were murdered. Why? Because they were Jews. It was the same time that Germany was trying to solve its problems, but in some way the Nazi Party managed to garner more and more support. And so by 1932, at the end of 32, an election took place in which the German people overwhelmingly voted for the Nazi Party. Not a secret society in any way, shape, or form. The whole world knew what Nazism was. And so, in January of 1933, I'm still a toddler in Czechoslovakia. Nazi Germany comes to be. April 1933, Germany declares a boycott of all Jewish businesses. It essentially disenfranchises the Jews. It tells the world and tells the Jews and Christians alike in the world, Jews have no rights. Jews are a foreign element. Jews need to be gotten rid of. The people of Germany accepted this. From a practical perspective, this was not a huge success. People continued to buy stuff from Jews. Jewish artists were still invited, at least for a short period of time, to perform. It didn't suddenly change to murder. It was a clear signal. The first step. You no longer belong. And so, my friends, the boycott is the symbol, the first step towards Auschwitz. This was done for a specific reason. To test the waters. To test the resolve of the world saying, we will do this. We are a racist country. We are a racist people. We are a racist government. And we will do what we say we will. What will be the reaction of the world? And more so, what will be the reaction of the German people in general? Will they say no, or will they accept it? It's a test. It's a test that the world, the German people, failed. By 1936, there was a major event. In Berlin, the capital of Germany, that event was the Olympics. By that time, Germany has decreed that Jewish athletes will not participate. What will be the reaction of the world? Second test. Did anybody not show up? Did the democracies of the world say, you can't do this? No. That's not what happened at all. They all sent their athletes. So the Jewish athletes couldn't participate. So who cares? By 1938, Germany began to expand more and more. In fact, by 1938 September, Germany said we want part of Czechoslovakia called the Sudetenland. The southwestern or the western part of Czechoslovakia should become part of Germany, and told the world, in fact the world leaders, Chamberlain and Daladier, saying, if you stop us, there'll be a war. Allow us to do this, and peace will be achieved in our time. And so the Prime Minister of England signs a piece of paper together with Mr. Hitler saying, we agree to hand to you this border. Just don't start a war. I have the image in my head, which I've seen so many times on newsreels. The Prime Minister of England, Chamberlain, gets off his plane from Germany and has a piece of paper in his hand. He says, we have achieved peace in our time. Mr. Hitler and I signed this agreement. We must understand, blackmailers aren't honest people. And so in the spring of 1939, Germany takes over half of Czechoslovakia. And I live in a new country now. It's called Slovakia. It's a fascist country. Its ideas about Jews is exactly the same as that of Germany. And so here I am, almost 10 years old. It's the summer of 1939. I get up in the morning, like every other morning, off to play with my friends, Jews and Catholics and Protestants and Gypsies, in the park. But that day, there's a sign. Jews and dogs are forbidden to enter. And thus begins the persecution of Irving Roth. Small steps. In the afternoon, it's hot, it's summertime. I go to the beach. As I want to enter through the gate of the beach area, there is a sign, no Jews allowed. Slowly, I can't go out at night because I'm a Jew. I have to wear a yellow star because I'm a Jew. I have to be identified on the street as a Jew. Slowly, I'm no longer a citizen. I have no rights. When I go to the movies, I can't just sit any old place. I must sit in a very specific place for Jews only. And slowly, more laws. Winter of 1939. Slovakia is in the center of Europe. It's a cold country in the winter time. And so I own a sheepskin jacket. But in 1939, I can no longer wear it. No Jew is allowed to own or wear any garment which has fur on it because it is a luxury. And Jews mustn't have any luxuries. And so, a 10-year-old, I have to deliver my sheepskin jacket to the post office. The 10th year of my life was not easy. When I was born, I was the second child. My brother was 3 years old when I was born, and so my parents decided that the older brother may not be so happy with the sibling. Like, who needs competition? And so in their wisdom, they decided, I guess that's even before Dr. Spock wrote his book, How to Bring Up Children. You know, you gotta ease them into this thing, like you gotta share your toys and all that. And so they decided to get a nanny. Wonderful lady. So I come into this world with a nanny. My friend, my confidant, my everything. Protected me from everybody or anytime I got into trouble, she would protect me. She was a wonderful lady. She lived in our house. She was a Catholic woman, which I like very much because that meant I get presents during Jewish holidays and I also get it at Christmas time. You know, like, that's stupid. Unfortunately, this government, this Nazi government of Slovakia, decrees that no non-Jewish woman is allowed to live in a Jewish household. So at age 10, I lose my name. When I was in first grade, I realized that there are such things as pretty girls. And so within about a month or so of my first grade in 1935, I looked around and saw this absolutely magnificent creature. It took me about 6 months to go over to her and say hello. She lived about 3 doors from my house, and so I asked her to be okay to walk with her. And she agreed. By the end of the first year, I carried her books. By the end of the second year, I did homework with her. We became very good friends. She was Russian Orthodox. It was fine with me. But it is the spring of 1940, and one day we're walking home together. She tells me she can no longer walk with me. She does not want to do that anymore because her father told her not to be friendly with a Jew. They don't want to be known as Jew lovers. And slowly the law penetrates into the hearts and minds and souls of my friends. I'm betrayed. September 1st, 1940, school starts. I get to the gate of the school on that morning, And the principal stands outside and tells me I can no longer go in because we don't allow any Jews in our school. On that morning, September 1940, every Jewish student in every school in the whole country was thrown out. And every Jewish teacher was fired. That afternoon I decided that even though I didn't go to school, certainly I can meet my friends on the soccer field and have some fun. So I get to the field. The coach tells me, we no longer want you on our team. We don't want any Jews on our team. I, the soccer player, the star, the best defensive fullback in
Jewish attorneys
no longer allowed to practice law. Jewish doctors lose privileges in hospitals. Jews working any form of government are fired. And Jewish business. By 11 o'clock in the morning, every single man in uniform, every guard, whether he be Ukrainian or German or Hungarian, disappeared. And 3 o'clock in the afternoon on April 11th, 1945, 2 American soldiers walked into my building. You may not know what the Messiah looks like. I do. There were 2 of them. One was black and one was white. They walked in, looked at us. In this particular barracks, there were over 300 15-year-olds weighing on the average 75 pounds. Skeletons. They broke down. Very soon they fed us a tremendous amount of food. Big mistake. You don't pig out when you haven't had a meal in a year. But soon the American Army also travels with doctors and medics and nurses, and they began to try to give some life to us, and I felt better, and slowly they marched us out. The kids particularly gave us new clothing. Actually, they were German Army uniforms, beautiful new ones. Put us into a new building. 4 kids to a room. Not those shelves we slept on. Beds, mattresses, food, chocolate. And every one of us got a carton of Camel cigarettes. You can picture this, 4 kids, 15 years old, each with a carton of Camel cigarettes, with no supervision. So here I am, sitting on my bed, smoking away. An hour goes by and my head begins to spin. I break out in a cold sweat. My tongue is bitter. My lips are swelling. I have no idea what's wrong. I'm dying. I survived Auschwitz. I survived Buchenwald. I was liberated, and I'm going to die. Now, all it was is nicotine poisoning. I never, in my whole life, smoked another cigarette. But just to let you know, I didn't throw away the cigarettes. I traded it for chocolate. I gain weight, but I'm alone. What do? I decide to go back to the same village. After days of traveling, I get to the village. First person I see. I ask, anybody from the Roth family survived? He says, yes. I say, where? I run over, open the door, and there is my mother. I say, hi, Mom. Cool, totally cool. My parents survived. They were in Budapest, as you know. About 3 weeks before, the Jews of Budapest were being shipped out or marched on a death march or dumped into the river and shot first. My father gets sick and is in a coma. He winds up in a hospital. Everybody gives up. After a few days in a coma, forget it. They tell my mother, pray that he died, because if he doesn't, he's going to be a vegetable. That night, there's a Seventh-day Adventist woman who takes pity on my mother and gives her hope. And she stays with my father every single night. She talks to him. And after many, many nights, One night she's talking to him and suddenly she hears him say something. How long have I been asleep? My father comes out of a coma. Within days, he's being discharged. To where? To being shot on the street? This wonderful woman, this Christian woman, gives my parents a place to hide. She lives in a one-bedroom apartment with her daughter, who is married, has a child, and a husband who is in the Hungarian Nazi army. He's not at home. She offers them a place to hide. They get there. They're hiding there. Police come look for Jews. They don't find them. One night there's a knock on the door. It's not the police, it's the husband. The Hungarian Nazi soldier comes home to his apartment for 3 days. 3 days, one-bedroom apartment, he'll find out. And so the wife decides to tell him. Some distant relatives are living with us. They're hiding here. And nobody must find out, because if anybody finds out, they'll be shot. And besides, if you want to go to bed with me tonight, you'll keep your big mouth shut. My parents survived because somebody was willing to help. And so World War II is over, and some Jews survive, but they have no place to go. Anti-Semitism hasn't disappeared. My neighbors don't tell me, thank God you're home, you survived. So many Jews are still alive? This man Adolf Hitler did not do a particularly great job. That's the comment. Most Jews can't go back. They're in DP camps, displaced persons camp, in Germany. Some of them try to get home to their homeland of 2,000 years ago, but the British won't let them. In fact, they ship them back to Cyprus and other concentration camps. This is 1945, 1946. In fact, there are Jews who managed to get off the ship and swim to shore without being detected by the British. They set foot on Palestine. They're found and put into a concentration camp in Palestine by the British. Finally, in 1947, the United Nations realizes hundreds of thousands of people had no place to go. Because the Polish prisoners went home to Poland, the Russian prisoners back to Russia, the Yugoslavian back to Yugoslavia. The Jews have no place to go. And so, in their wisdom, all these nations meeting, Lake Success, New York, decide to partition Palestine to a Jewish state and an Arab state. And so the Jews finally have a small piece, but it's theirs. And so they establish a country. And you would think anti-Semitism would disappear, and you would think that everybody, the whole world, will be happy that finally the Jews are out of exile, and now they have a place. Just like the French have France. Just like the Brits have Britain. The Jews have their own land. On the night they announced their state, in May of 1948, 6 Arab armies attacked Israel. And by miracle, and tell me, I believe it's a miracle, they managed to survive. And you would think the world, the Arab nations would say, okay. Because if you look at the map of the Middle East and give a look, the landmass that is in the hands of various Arab nations, and then you give a look at the piece that is Israel, you'll see a postage stamp in the sea. That's how tiny. They would say, good. Let them live there. After all, they'll bring technology. They'll bring prosperity. Why not? But no, my friends, the hatred of the Jew is so embedded. They continue the wars. Year after year after year. In 1948, in 1956, in 1967, in 1973. And not just wars. terrorism. Murder. Out and out murder. Terrorism, too fancy a word. What would you call if a bunch of people come in, 2 or 3 armed, full of explosives into a pizza parlor and blow it up? It's called murder. It's the same as in Boston. It's called murder. But just to make sure that the world does not look unkindly to the terrorists and kindly to the Jews, they launched a propaganda program very early. In fact, they imported hundreds of people from Berlin in the 1950s who worked for the propaganda ministry of Nazi Germany to Egypt. And the propaganda war has been going on. In the last 10, 15 years, they've invaded the American college campus with 2 prongs: buying professorships and professors and establishing Muslim Student Association, whose objective and in their job, they're well trained, they're well financed, is to demonize the Jew. The Jew is again the demon, the devil. Any problem in the world is the Jew. And so, my friends, when David Walker got up here and suggested that this is wrong, that an organization called Kufi has been established, that 100 chapters of Kufi have been established on the American campus, to simply say, this is wrong. This is demonization. This is evil. Because the propaganda machine has been fantastic. In fact, in 2001, there was a conference organized by the UN. And the name of the conference was To End Racism. It was in Durban, South Africa. But that's not what was on the agenda of the organizers. The agenda was the demonization of Israel. It was a hate fest. And of course, being it was in Durban, the perfect word was formed.